Okay, so we are doing S.13. We're going from an equation to a table and a graph. And I'm recording live in second period. Okay, so here is my first example that I'm going to do in my class. So I'm going to have them please go to their journal and please go to page. There, for them, it's after the notes that we took. So we took notes on page 32 and 33 for how to substitute. So go to the next page in your journal. I think they're already there. Okay, so let's do some examples. I'm going to put the very top S.13 examples. Okay, everybody with me? So said. You with me? Okay, so, ow. Let me get my pen. Okay, so the example that I have is over here. So the example that they gave me was this equation, f of x equals 2x. So if you remember from what we took notes on the examples that we did, we have to, when we go from the equation to the points on the table, we're going to need a substitute. That means take that the x values will take the place. Did I put y values? Oh yeah, for the x. So the x values, the numbers are going to take place of the letter x. So in the example that we had an equation here, right, Uriel? And then our x was 16. Or they could write it like this. And that means that the 16 took place of the x's. So what I did was I copied the equation, I erased the x, and then I replaced it with the number that's here in the parentheses. Okay? So, in the example that I have, is my equation is f of x equals 2x. So that is the equation I write down on my paper. I copy it. Now, I recommend doing it with a pencil. Make sure you have this copied on your paper, in your journal. Okay, so, extension cord's going to make me trip. What I like to do is I'll copy it. Now, I like to copy it with pencil better, because with the pencil I can erase. So I put f of x equals 2x. Now, what am I erasing? Can someone in my second period tell me what am I erasing? The x. I erase the x because that's what I'm going to substitute change for. So what is the first x I'm going to change it for? Do you see how it gave you a table? Here's the x. What's the first one I'm going to change it to? 0. So instead of putting x, I put 0, and then I put 0 right there. It's got to be parentheses. Since the parentheses is already there, I just write 0. Alright, and you could do that in your head, or you could put this and this only in the calculator. So will you hand me a calculator, please? Now, like I said, you could just do it in your head, but if multiplying, thank you, is not the best for you, just put it in your calculator. So 2 times 0 is 0. Another way you can check it, just in case it gets a little bit more fun in the future, press 1, press no, press 1. Press the house, press 1, and press no, and then 1 again. So I'm putting in the calculator, 2 parentheses 0, and I get 0. So, a couple ways I could write this. I could write f of 0. When I change the x for 0, it equals to 0. Okay? Another way I could write this, that's one way. Another way I could write this is, since this is the x, this is the y, I put 0, 0, because that's the x, that's the y. That's another way. That's one way of writing it. That's another way of writing it. Another way I could write this is how it is on the table. It was 0 and 0. Now, I'm going to use some colors because I don't want anyone to be confused. The first one is the x. Okay, on the left-hand side, that's the x. The other one's the one I had to figure out on the calculator, or you could do it in your head. That's your y value. Okay? So I would put on my IXL 0 right there. And then I would put the point at 0 first. That's the x. Remember, x's go like this, y's go in this direction. So I put the point on 0, 0. Alright, and I'm going to do my next one. Okay, let me ask my class if they have any questions. Alright, so now I'm going to ask them to help me out and do the next one. So the next one, I still write the same equation. F of x equals 2x. Alright, what is the next one that I'm going to replace on this one, on the second one? What do I need to replace it with? Somebody, so what did you say, Suzette? Yeah, I'm going to replace the x with what? What do I I erase the x, what do I put instead of the 1? What did you say again? How do you know it's 1? Yeah, it's the x, because it tells you right there that's the x. It's 1, so instead of putting x, I erase it, I put 1 in parentheses. That's my x. And then over here, I put parentheses. 1 also. That's my x. Okay, so in the calculator, I just put this part in the calculator. 2 parentheses 1. Someone at Head Deals table, tell me what you got. Yeah, you can't see on mine for some reason, but okay. So it equals to 2. Okay, and that's the y value. Okay, so the x value was f of 1. That's my input. That's what I put in the equation, and what I got out of the equation was the 2. So here I put 2. Okay? Remember the different ways that you could write it? You could write it like this. You could write it like this. Or you could write it like this. It's all the same thing. Now, what you could then you'd put it on the graph. So you find that x is first 1. So you start at 1, and then the y is 2. So you put the other point there. Okay? And then you go ahead and finish it down here. Thank you for watching this video.